Hello, my friends, and welcome back to this walkthrough of Final Fantasy VI with me, jrpg. In the last episode, we followed the Crimson Robbers into Figaro Castle's basement, where their leader Jared revealed himself to be Edgar just before we defeated the tentacle monster, jamming the engines. We're now near our next destination, Kohlingen, so let's get going and find out what's going on there. And that's going to be just up over here. Okay, this one's new, so we can leave this in. The jrpg, I assume that's how it's pronounced, has 1,418 HP and is weak to wind. We don't really have any access to wind attacks right now, so our regular attacks will do just fine. And down he goes, no problems there. So here we are, and why don't we talk to this Narsh guard first? He's going to say, Narsh is filled with monsters. I don't have any place to go home to. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that way, but it is interesting to note that Narsh is filled with monsters. We'll want to check that out later. And this woman says those beautiful days will never return. And here is Kohlingen looking picturesque with birds flying overhead. And I really think this throws into sharp relief just how much worse the world looks now when you get to see it just directly in comparison like that. And we'll remember up here, this is the building where Locke is keeping his old flame Rachel in a sort of suspended animation. And this guy's gonna say, huh? Locke? He must be searching the world over for that fabled treasure. Find the treasure and you'll find Locke. And we don't know what that treasure is right now, but that's worth keeping in mind for later for sure. Now, how about over here? This woman says, a handsome man with a quaint way of talking visited our village recently. He kept saying thou to everyone, and we know somebody who talks like that, don't we? This guy says there's still some people with vision, even in this world, like my brother up north. And you can't see me, but I am currently pinching the bridge of my nose right now, but we'll talk more about what that means later. This woman says there's a real mean guy fighting at the Colosseum. That is what I was alluding to. Seems he's looking for a weapon called the Striker, and we will want to remember that as well. And this really fast guy is going to offer to unequip some of our party members, but we really don't need him to do that. Can't do anything in this building, and then in the one all the way up here, there's not going to be anything at all, but I figured I'd show it to you just so you don't have to take my word for it. And let's loop around the back and talk to these two people. This little girl says, we planted some seeds, but nothing's growing. And this woman says, it's as if the plants have lost their will to live. And not being able to grow anything is a serious problem indeed. And if we step here, she's going to say, don't step there. Give the seedlings a chance. And we're going to hop back because we definitely do want to give those seedlings a chance. I certainly hope that works out. Now we might as well stop in the inn. And look who it is. It's Setzer. But let's talk to these two guys first. This one coughs and says, this world's already on the heap. That's another Woolseyism. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. And this one just says hope. So let's go ahead and talk to Setzer now. Celeste says, Setzer. And Setzer says, you're alive? Celeste says, come along with us. We're after Kefka. Setzer says, phew, I don't know if I have it in me anymore. Celeste says, what are you saying? And Setzer says, I'm just a gambler. I just want to be left alone. This world is too chaotic for me. What's worse, I've lost my wings. And we did lose our airship, didn't we? Celeste says, but before the world collapsed, you fought with all your heart. You were absolutely fearless. And Setzer replies, that was then. We can never have that world back. Celeste says, you want to live in this world as it is? No? Then do something about it. And Setzer says, mwah, all right, you win. I'm starting to feel lucky. Thanks, I needed that. Now, let's go visit Daryl's tomb. Oh, and the way this music hits too, it's so awesome! We're gonna get us another one. Airship, that is. And oh, is that music to my ears. Let's go! And the game is very helpfully going to show us exactly where we need to go. It's not very far away at all. It is right here. And now there's going to be a couple of dialogue changes, so let's talk to this Narsh guard again. He's going to say, but I refuse to give up. I'm going back to Narsh. There's that frozen Esper. With you guys along, we'll be able to wake that thing up. Now, that didn't go so hot last time, but I think we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. And this one's going to say, I overheard your conversation. I, too, still have faith in this world. And the bartender says, hope, we must never give up hope. And that's right. Never give up, never surrender. Now, for this part of the game, since we're going to Daryl's tomb, I think I'm going to have Setzer lead the party, so let's switch everybody around. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to want to stop in the general store right over here. A couple of things I want to pick up. Now, there's a few weapons for Setzer here. The first of which I'll talk about is the dice. And the way that this works is it deals damage equal to double your level multiplied by each die's value. But unfortunately, the dice for some reason are stacked against you, so a roll of 5 or 6 is less likely than any other number, so I don't particularly care for this weapon, but it is very flavorful for Setzer. And then there is the Trump, and it reads randomly dispatches an enemy, and that is correct, it can proc wound. And that's an instant kill, but it does fully heal the undead, and that's not going to be very helpful where we're going, because it is in fact a tomb. That being said, it's a good weapon, so we're going to go ahead and buy one. And I'm going to grab an enhancer for Edgar. And then at the armor shop, I'm going to want a couple of diamond shields here. And I'm going to buy 2 diamond armors as well. And that's just about all of our money, so let's go ahead and put this stuff on. I guess we could just go optimum, right? Yeah, that looks fine. And then we'll put the enhancer on Edgar and throw on some diamond armor as well. A little bit more magic defense, that's great. Oh, and I almost forgot the diamond shield. Yep, look at that. Did I put that on Setzer? I did. Okay. And since we just spent all of our money, why don't we go ahead and sell some stuff? Let's see here. This mithril blade can go. 2 regal cutlass. Ape. These mithril pikes can go. Mithril rods probably, but eh. And some of these older pieces of armor. Buckler, heavy shield, and 7 mithril shields. These can all go too. And I think that's probably good. Yeah, okay. And then let's go ahead and arrange all our items. And also, we're going to want to put an Esper on Setzer, and I think I'm going to go ahead and give him Modwin, even though Edgar is done with it. And why don't we switch him over to something like Ifrit? Yeah, because he does still use physical attack, so the strength is fine, and he will learn Fire too, which will be useful. And then we'll go ahead and put Modwin on Setzer to give him something actually useful to do at some point. And finally, we need to give him some relics, and I'm going to go ahead and throw the ribbon on, partially because the next dungeon is going to be the theme of zombie, and also partially because I don't really have anything great to give him. I think like the next best thing would be these running shoes, so let's go ahead and do that. And with that, it's time to hit the road, so let's get out of here. Daryl's tomb, here we come. And while we're on the way there, we can talk about it just a little bit. So as I said, the theme of that dungeon is going to be zombies, so you could wear ribbons and amulets to protect yourself from that status effect. Oh, and deep eyes are new, so we're going to have to talk more about that in just a second. So deep eyes have 1,334 HP, they are weak to fire, and they can open combat by either attacking or using Dreamland to inflict sight, which is really sweet. Every other turn, they will have a chance to run away, but I suspect Fire 2 or Fire Dance should do a fine job of clearing them out. Looks like I should have just skipped straight to Fire Dance without wasting my MP, but that's okay. No real problems there. So to continue my thought about this upcoming dungeon, we could wear relics beyond the ribbon to protect ourselves, but I don't actually consider zombie to be that much of an issue. Celeste says, this person, she was your friend? Setzer says, yeah, she was a piece of work. Nothing scared her. And he says could be anything lurking down here, so keep your eyes peeled. And we will. But to finish my thought, the reason we're not going to wear the protection relics is because basically every monster in here drops revivifies, and we have a full party. And speaking of monsters, here we've got the Mad Oscar and X-Ray. The Mad Oscar is the Marlboro-looking one. He's got 2,900 HP, is weak to fire, and absorbs water and poison. And he can use his Sour Mouth attack to inflict Dark, Poison, Impute, Muddled, and Psych. And the X-Ray has 1,200 HP, is weak to fire and pearl, and absorbs poison because it is in fact a zombie. It has a permanent shell status, and can use Doom Pollen to inflict zombie. Alright, down they go. Now the first place we're going to want to go is over here. If we interact with that, it will open the door behind it. And that's going to raise some water. It's not immediately clear what that did right now, but it is the first thing you want to do. Okay, the Power Demon is new, so we can keep this one in. He's got 2,058 HP, is weak to fire and pearl, and absorbs poison. Stop me if you've heard that one before. And can inflict zombie with its Soul Out attack. And so, to finally finish my thought from before about why I don't consider the zombie status to be that big of a deal, is that if you've queued up an attack and then get hit with zombie, your character will still execute it. Like, for example, if you've queued up a Fire Dance with Sabin, and he gets zombied, he'll still execute it and probably win the fight. Alright, let's go ahead and use a Revivify to fix Celeste. And heal her up. And top up everybody else, why not? And keep on going. So next we come down here. And we find the Genji helmet. Now this is a very good helmet. It has the best defense and magic defense of regular helmets. And we're going to go ahead and throw it on Setzer just to make sure he's keeping up with everybody else. Now it is going to reduce his HP by a little bit because he won't get the green beret boost. But I think that's going to be just fine. Then we want to head to the center room. And hop on this turtle. Now that switch to the right might look really tempting, but we're not going to flip it for now. Instead, we're going to find this. It's going to say, letters have been carved here, and each of these is going to give us 4 letters. Okay, you got all that? We got zombied up pretty good that last fight, so let's go ahead and fix that. And we're going to need those letters for later. And we'll take the turtle back, and then we're going to head to the top left doorway. And the tombstone is blank. Carve something, and we're going to say yes. Now, if you look at these letters backwards, we're going to want to spell out the world is square. Just like that. Find the XP egg hidden in the back room in the 3rd basement. And we will indeed do that. Now, I don't know what the world is square is supposed to mean. And in fact, nowadays, some people might even believe that. But anyway, in here we can find the Crystal Mail. This is a very good heavy armor upgrade, and we're going to go ahead and throw that on Setzer also, because why not? Pushes magic defense and defense just a bit higher. Sounds good to me. And in here, we can find the Tsarina gown, and that's going to be realm only. It is +1 to vigor, +2 to speed, +2 to stamina, and +3 to magic power. So it is good, but there's going to be better costumes for realm anyway. And then we're going to want to find this secret passage just over here to find the XP egg. And this is a very good relic. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on, let's say, over the running shoes. And as you'll see in a moment here, assuming I can find it, there it is, it doubles obtained XP, and that is true, that's exactly what it does. And we're going to go ahead and throw that on just to try to get Setzer to level 25 as soon as possible. We'd really like to get everybody to level 25, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And Edgar learned Fire 2 that fight. That is quite nice indeed. And now we're going to want to hit this switch, and that's going to open that door. The switch that we went past earlier on my left is going to raise this water so we can get over there. So let's go ahead and backtrack now. And back through the center we go. And on the turtle once more. Now we can flip this switch. And take yet another turtle ride. Honestly, turtle rides are figuring more into the world of Ruin than maybe you would expect. Alright, perfect. Setzer did level up there, so let's go ahead and throw the running shoes back on him. And then we can give the XP egg to, let's say... Actually, nobody. I think we're good. And you'll notice the save point right here, but we're not going to need that right now. Instead, let's find this monster in a box. This is the Presenter, and he can be a fairly dangerous boss if you're unprepared, but the save point nearby probably should be a clue that some tough fights are imminent. He's got two parts, the head and the shell, so let's start with the head. The head has 9,845 HP, is weak to fire, absorbs ice, bolt, and water, and is immune to poison. It can use Megavolt, which we already know, El Nino, which is a water version of Ice 3, making it pretty powerful, and Petroblast, which does what you would assume, it causes Petrify. Similarly to the tutorial fight at the start of the game, the head will hide periodically, in this case after every 2 attacks. Which brings me to the shell. So, the shell has 9,230 HP, is weak to fire, absorbs ice, bolt, and water, and somehow has the float status. While the head is visible, the shell can attack, use Megavolt, or Blowfish for 1,000 damage, and when the head is hidden, it will use Magnitude 8. So we could have used some Gaia Gear or Float to not worry about that, but I try not to be overly clairvoyant to preserve some of the challenge that was probably intended for these boss fights. Now, one really cool thing about this boss fight is that at the end you're going to earn the Dragon Claw for Sabin, and we'll talk about that when we win it. But both the head and the shell have a 100% chance to drop the Dragon Claw. Now, the fight is intended to end when you kill either one of them, but if you can manage to kill both of them at the same time, you will actually earn 2. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't feel the need to win 2 Dragon Claws, but it is an interesting challenge if you can figure it out. To theory craft a little bit, I would assume that you would damage both of them, and when the shell counterattacks with Gigavolt, which is like Bolt 3, you can runic that with Celeste, and then keep track of your damage totals, and then try to kill both at the same time that way. I think that would be the best way to go about it. I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to make things easy on myself by employing the strategy you see here, which is attacking the head twice, and then letting it hide, and then just healing up after a couple of Magnitude 8s, and making it very, very easy that way. And speaking of keeping track of damage totals, I do think that this should be the final couple of attacks on the head, so let's see. And that kind of makes me feel like I should have gone for the double Dragon Claw now. I'm regretting that a little bit, but I think it's gonna be fine. Alright, we did it. No problems there. And for our trouble, we are going to win the Dragon Claw, which is going to be a Pearl Elemental Claw, which gives +2 to Vigor and +1 to Magic Power. It is a great weapon for Sabin, and we're going to go ahead and throw it right on. Look at that Battle Power raise. Wow. All right. Now I think we might as well go ahead and use a tent. I mean, we're doing fine, but we're here, so go ahead and do it. And then in here, we're going to find the Man-Eater, which is a great dirk. It deals double damage to humans, and also adds a bunch of magic block, which Setzer could really use. His trump is useless anyway, so let's keep going. And right here, it says Daryl sleeps here. But Setzer goes up, and we end up in quite the boss fight. So this is Dullahan, and as you can see here, he's going to open the fight with level Pearl, which will hit on anyone whose level is evenly divisible by the last digit of our guild total. Which is weird, I know. I never have any idea if it's going to hit or not. Anyway, he has 23,450 HP, is weak to fire, absorbs ice, and is always hasted. One interesting ability he has is Reflect triple question mark, which would target a character with Reflect on to cause dark, mute, and slow, but he will only use it once. Otherwise, his attack pattern in this first leg of the fight is going to rotate between Ice 2, Ice 3, or Pearl. And then he'll cast Cure 2 on himself after 13,210 damage, and he's going to start using more powerful attacks after we get 8 attacks in, which will be Mornstar for double damage, and Cross, which I assume stands for Northern Cross, which can cause Freeze, which is essentially the stop status but can be cured by casting Fire on the afflicted party member or members, and Absolute Zero, which is essentially Ice 3 with a really cool full-screen animation. Now, what all of that put together means is that you can get some pretty nasty rolls of successive attacks from Dullahan, like he can go Ice 3 into Ice 3, stuff like that. So you just want to make sure that you're staying on top of healing, and you'll be fine, unless something happens to you the way it happened to me the first time I tried to record this fight, which was I tried to mash Setzer's slots to get the Logomorph heal, and instead somehow I landed on all bars. And all bars, as you'll remember, summons a random Esper, and of course it summoned Crusader, which damages everything on the screen, including yourself, and it killed us all. So I would recommend against that. Don't do that. I remember someone once posted on one of my videos, as soon as you start trying to record, all hell breaks loose. Like, practice will go perfectly over and over. You hit that record button and things go crazy, and if that isn't my lived experience. Okay, but that's enough about that. There is something coming up that I do want to talk about, and it's going to be a very good and very emotionally resonant cutscene, but it can feel a little bit contrived, a little bit too convenient, unless you got the cutscene that I showed you earlier when we were in Vector and we had to travel all the way to the airship to talk to Setzer. That cutscene does a little bit of setup for this Daryl plotline coming up, and I think it's best served to have seen that cutscene before you see the one that's coming up, and that's sort of why I wish they hadn't put it so out of the way. I think it makes this plot point here work just so much better if you've seen it, and almost nobody has. Anyway, we're coming up on the end of this boss fight here, I'm pretty sure, so I will just conclude by saying that I really like the design of this dungeon, and I really like this plotline involving Setzer. It almost... it's almost enough to make me forget about the whole Maria business, so I really, really like it, and I hope that you do too. Oh, there we go. Let's go. This legitimately had me a little bit rattled due to losing it before, but that wasn't too bad at all. But I'll take it. Setzer even learned his level 2 spells. And now we can continue on. Setzer says this brings back a lot of memories. Daryl says this experimental airship is probably a bit unstable. Setzer says, you can't be serious. What are you trying to prove? And Setzer says, watch your step. Daryl says, if something should happen to me, the Falcon's yours. And Setzer laughs and says, nonsense. I'll win the Falcon from you when I whip you in a race. You'd better clear out of my way. And Daryl says, big talk, Buster. Setzer says there's nothing like flying. Daryl says, come on, stop lagging back there. Or do you like chewing on my wake? Setzer says, listen to you. Daryl says, this time's for real. I'm gonna break every record. I'll be known as the woman who flew closest to the stars. Setzer says, be back before sunset. I'll be waiting for you on our hill. But Daryl never came. The wreck of the Falcon was found a full year later in a distant land. Setzer says I restored the craft and then put it to rest down here. Edgar says this is the Falcon? Setzer says I put it in storage. I couldn't bear to look at it. But now it just may save us. The Falcon. Oh, and the way it rises from the water, it reminds me of the blue whale from Final Fantasy IV. Oh, it's so good! Edgar says, I finally think we're gonna pull this off. Celeste says we can attack Kefka's tower from the air. Edgar says the Falcon's gonna give us one last chance at that guy. Setzer says, but first we need to find our friends. And Edgar replies, right, first things first. For once, I feel hopeful. Celeste says, hey, a bird. Celeste says, Setzer, follow that bird. And Setzer replies, but why? Celeste says, I don't know. Something inside just tells me it's important. And we do follow the bird. And let's set her down. Oh, this is so exciting, and we're just outside of Miranda, and we're going to check out what's going on in there, but that's going to have to wait until next time because I'm all out of time for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Final Fantasy Friday.